What's up, my wizards? It's Dev from Mtg. We like magic, and today we got some more Dominaria previews to go through. That's pretty much going to be our week, but it's exciting. Not only, again, did we get to see art for some of the stuff that we saw during the leaks, but we got 3 brand new cards today, all of which look pretty cool to me. So let's run through all this. Now first, I'm going to quickly go over the stuff that we got art for, because some of this new art is really good. First of all, 3 white cards, all of which I think we'll see play. Let me just put it that way. These all look decent to me. Dauntless Bodyguard, Seal Away, and Lyra Dawnbringer. Now, I like the art for Seal Away. They just sealed away some giant Phyrexian monstrosity. Good choice for the art, and Seal Away will be very good. This is a fantastic piece of white removal that's going to go in approach decks and look particularly good with Teferi. You know, Teferi's first ability allows you to untap 2 lands. So you can play Teferi, get right back on defense with Seal Away up in your hand. That seems great to me. So Seal Away is going to see play, probably at least going to replace Baffling End, if not go alongside a couple of copies of it in some decks. But I would imagine it's just going to be like 3-4 copies of Seal Away. That's a done deal. I don't even know that we had to play Baffling End anymore. Seal Away's looking really good. Dauntless Bodyguard, another great 1-drop. Of course, you don't get the full value from it if you just drop it on turn 1, but it's still fine to drop on turn 1. This is a 2-power 1-drop, but if you do get this on like turn 3 or 4, and you can set up to protect something really important to you, this card looks fan-freaking-tastic. And finally, Lyra Dawnbringer. This is the best art of these 3 cards, I would say. It looks really pretty, and I know I sound like a broken record, but this one in particular is going to look really, really good shiny, and I do think that this is going to be a really important card in the upcoming format for what it's worth. You know, crushes Glory Bringers. Even Aethersphere Harvester can't stand up to this, you know. Just crushes Phoenixes. It just flies over everything, flies through everything, and gains you life the entire time. This thing looks really, really dumb. Like, it's definitely going to be a real concern in the upcoming standard. There's a lot of good white 5-drops right now, but I think this is the best of the bunch. We also saw the art for Kamal's Druidic Vow and Jaya's Immolating Inferno. I'm excited about both of these legendary X spells, you know. I'm a little bit more excited for Inferno. I think this thing looks really, really busted. If you can get some good mana production going, this looks awesome with the new Jaya. You know, she +1s for 3 red mana. That goes into this pretty well. Plus, we've already got a ton of ramp in the format. Lana Werelves is back. Mox Amber's a thing. So I just don't see it being too hard to close out games or just rat the board with this really easily. As far as Druidic Vow, I'm not quite as excited, but I still think this has tons of potential, you know. There's the green-white, or perhaps like Abzan or Naya even, Legends deck. It's going to play a ton of Legends that can enable this really easily. You know, I feel like if we can pull off a Vow for X equals 3 or 4 or even 5, but I'm really interested in X equals 3 or 4, then we can probably get some value out of that. I like the card. I'm not sure how amazing it is, don't get me wrong, but I do think that in a deck that can pull off, you know, X equals 4, then this thing can probably do some real work, and maybe even get you like 2 cards off of it. So that looks fine. Also note that the rest go into your graveyard, which can be really, really good, depending on what you're trying to do. And I should also point out that this looks really good with cards like Rishkar and Marwyn, the new elf legend in this set. You know, both of those tap for mana or enable your creatures to tap for mana and are legendary, which enable you to cast the spell in the first place. And they just seem conducive to like really big Druidic Vows on turn like 4 or 5. So I'm not going to discount this card. I think it could definitely see some play, but Inferno is my favorite of the 2. Ton of new art today, but we're almost into the new cards, so don't worry. First of all, there's Naban, Dean of Iteration, Vauda, Keeper of the Flame, and Rona, Disciple of Gix. We saw all of these today. None of these are particularly awesome-looking art, except for Rona. Rona's art is really, really cool, but other than that, I'm not particularly impressed by any of the art. I'm not as stunned by it as I am some of these other pieces that we've seen the last couple of days. Altogether, the art looks really, really good in this set. But I am impressed by the cards in some ways. Like, Naban and Vauda just both look like really, really fun Magic cards. I'm not sure how competitive either one of them are. Naban, possibly. He's got a chance to do something really kooky, but obviously both of these are really killable. And I know I'm using dies to removal, but they die to all of the removal, so it's important to point it out. Rona, I think, has some real potential, you know. Card advantage on a stick, you get a body out of it. People are saying it's too slow. I think it might be really slow too, but honestly, it might be worth it. We said that about the Scarab God too. Now, obviously, the Scarab God's the better card. I'm not really comparing them, but all I'm saying is that sometimes we don't see it until it happens, and I think this might be one of those cards. And finally, as far as new art, we got to see Song of Freyalise and Forebears Blade. Now, both of these, I think, also have a chance. Even Forebears Blade. I didn't really see it when I first, looked at and evaluated this card. I thought it looked okay. I said that in the leak reviews. But the more I look at this, the more it just looks like Loxodon Warhammer. My fear is that Loxodon, the best thing about it is the lifelink. It'll catch you back up when you're behind. It puts you way far ahead when you're already ahead, and it pulls you even farther ahead. Even if they remove the creature, you can still put it on another creature and keep gaining life. It's really hard to get out from under Loxodon, but I don't think Forebears Blade has that going for it, but I still think it reminds me enough of it that I won't count this card out entirely. But Song of Freyalise looks insane, to me at least. This is basically a Cryptolith Rite that has the chance to be better. I made this argument in the leak video too, and I'll reiterate it here. Mostly Cryptolith Rite was good, either the turn after you played it and the turn after that. It still gets its Cryptolith Rite on the turns that it wants it. And then it gets even more value. It gets extra value. So, this looks fantastic if you can pull it off on curve. Doesn't look like the best top deck in the world, obviously, but you can pull it off on curve, base a deck around it. This thing looks like it can do some truly nasty stuff. But here we go with the new stuff. Here's Tetchy Benthic Druid. It's 5 mana, 3 a green and a blue for a 3/3 legendary Merfolk Druid. And whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life and you draw a card. Well, first of all, she's a Merfolk. That seems good, I'm not sure how much, Merfolk wants to play 5-drops, but they do already play a few 4-drops, They play the thing that lets you draw a card whenever a Merfolk does combat damage. Sometimes they play Tempest Caller, so I wouldn't imagine it'd be too hard for them to fit a 5-drop or 2. So this could be good. It would turn all of your, garbage land draws in the late game into gas. That seems pretty good, give you a way to fight off mono red aggro and stuff, and even fight off mid-range decks and control decks if you can resolve this. But obviously, it is a 5 mana 3/3, so I have to point out, I'm sorry, but you have to point out that it dies to a Braid, Harness Lightning, Lightning Strike, a ton of removal in the format, and obviously this dies to most other things, although a Fatal Push can't kill it, which is very, very important. So I should at least point that out. I know that some people are like, you're just making dies to removal. Again, it's important if something dies to a lot of removal, which this absolutely does. I don't think it's overpowered because it's a 5 mana 3/3. And I've gone on record a couple of times saying that I don't necessarily like those, but this is Value Town. And obviously, if you can play this and a land on the same turn, then you can already get value out of it the turn you play it. All of that seems pretty good. That seems good, but a 5-drop has to be fantastic to see standard play, It has to do something the turn it enters the battlefield, like every time. A good ETB effect is nice. An Anthem effect of some kind for all your other creatures is fine too. Just some sort of a way to affect the board the turn it comes out, or affect the game, period, Attack the opponent's hand, draw you cards the turn it comes into play, something. And this doesn't necessarily do any of that, nor is it resilient, something else that 4 and 5 drops have to be to see play in standard, Rekindling Phoenix, Hazoret's really, really difficult to kill because of the indestructible. Scarab God keeps coming back, That's why these are the most important creatures in standard. I will say that Commander players will probably really like this for landfall shenanigans and stuff like that, if they can fit it. And in standard, it does look like it might be neat in a deck that has Nissa Steward of Elements and stuff. There are definitely ways to build with it. Ramanap Excavator and stuff. There are definitely things that you could do in standard. I've been wanting to build a lands deck in standard, and this definitely goes directly into that. So there are reasons to be excited about it, but I also reserve judgment on it until I've actually played with it or until it's gotten some time in standard, because I'm not sure about it. But I will say one more thing. This is uncommon. It's really cool. I like all these uncommon legends that we're seeing. This is a really neat one if you want to build a commander deck and put this somewhere in the 99, or make it your commander. You could if you wanted to. But it also seems like a neat brawl commander for a really budget deck too. Simic Ramp seems great. So this seems all right to me. We're going to give it a shot. But obviously, I'm not super convinced that it's going to be amazing. But I will try it out. I'm sure other people will too. There are people already jacked about this card. So we'll see what it does. I love that if you just ramp lands into play, you get to draw a bunch of cards. If you have this into play when you Hour of Promise, that's crazy. You get a couple of life. You get a couple of tokens if you've got the deserts out. You draw a couple of cards. This makes Hour of Promise look disgusting. So, I'm not putting it past this card to actually see some play, but it'll have to prove itself. Up next is the art everyone's freaking out about today. Here's Yawgmoth's Vile Offering. YVO. YVO is 5 mana. It's 4 and a black for a legendary sorcery. Put up to 1 target creature or planeswalker from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Then destroy up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. And then you exile YVO. Now, for those of you who weren't playing 20 years ago or whatever, who just didn't grow up in this world, you know, this is the most metal art in the entire set so far, and it's sort of the culmination of a story. It's kind of, actually, it's the beginning of a whole new thing, but here's the thing. This art depicts Gerard carrying the head of Urza, ! To give to Yawgmoth, who promised him, in return, the rebirth of Hannah. It's exactly what's going on in this artwork right now, and it looks insane, and Yawgmoth looks so awesome. Like the art is really, this is the feels, and it's crazy, and it's nostalgic, and it's awesome that this is depicted on a piece of art now. After 20 years or so, the art is insane, and everyone's going crazy. Vorthos are going crazy. People are tweeting about it. The art is insane. Like, what this art means is insane. So there's that, but there's also the card to talk about, which is what we usually do on this channel. And the card looks decent. The card looks okay, you know. For reanimating stuff in standard for 5 mana, we've got Liliana right now, which might be all in all the better card. I think I'd rather have a Planeswalker, but it is worth noting if you have a Liliana out, then you can cast this. So there's that. You know, she's legendary. I mean, there's other ways to enable this too, obviously. It's a 2-for-1 that gets you a huge creature, a Planeswalker even, out of any graveyard. That's cool that it's any graveyard. And it also destroys something, so it gives you board advantage. You can kill a Planeswalker with it. Like, I don't know, man. It seems good for 5 mana. Like, even if you're not getting something crazy with the reanimation aspect of it, like, it's still a 5 mana 2-for-1. That's decent at least, you know. It's splashable. Only costs the 1 black mana when it could have easily cost 2 black. This seems like a double black effect, you know. But it doesn't. Still, it's relatively easy to cast if you're stretching the mana base. So there's that. And, you know, even if you just get like a 3 mana guy out of any graveyard, or if, God forbid, if you get a 5 mana Planeswalker or something, this card just looks like a blowout. But even if you get like a kind of a bullcrap creature out of a graveyard and you kill one of their dudes, that seems like a pretty decent rate at 5 mana. And finally today, here's Shalai, Voice of Plenty. It's 4 mana, 3 and a white for a 3/4 legendary angel with flying. Planeswalkers you control and other creatures you control have hexproof. That's good text. Also, just for shiggles, you can pay 4 and 2 green, that's 6 mana, to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, because let's push this angel as much as we can. Now, my one complaint with this card is that it doesn't stack up well against other flyers in the format. Really important flyers. Rekindling Phoenix, Glorybringer. You know, Glorybringer just outright kills this with an Exert trigger. I don't much like that about it, but I like everything else about it. You know, you're forcing them to have the removal for this. Otherwise, they can't really do diddly about anything else that you're doing. They can't target you with burn or any spells for that matter. They can't target any of your dudes. They can still wrap the board, but they can't target any of your dudes with their pushes or their contempts. You know, they have to aim contempt at this, which I think is good enough. This is a decoy for Vraska's contempt and cast outs and stuff. Probably good enough, you know, but God, if you're able to untap with this on the board, the things that you can do, it's an insane mana sink too, you know. I've already talked about Green-White Legends as a thing. This probably slots in because the deck is a little bit low on 4-drops, to be honest with you. Other than, you know, cast out and stuff, but it doesn't really have too many great 4-drop creatures. This slots right in. So super excited about this. Again, yeah, it dies to some removal. I'd make that argument, but it forces them to have it, and they can't use removal on anything else until they deal with this. So I like this card. I think it's definitely aimed at seeing actual competitive play. The card's good. But that's solid previews for today, but make sure you stay tuned tomorrow, because tomorrow's going to be my exclusive previews. I have 3 this season, and we didn't see any of them during the leaks. These are all brand new cards. Super excited to give them to you, and you'll have those tomorrow afternoon. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet. Hit the bell for the notifications. Also make sure you like the video, put it in more recommended feeds. That helps the channel out and makes you feel good at low effort, so do that. You can also, follow me on Twitter at SBMTGDev. Throw me $1 a month on Patreon if you can afford it. And make sure you click the first link in the description to check out all these pre-order prices on TCG Player. They help sponsor my content, and they're the lowest price that you can get these singles at on the entire internet. If you want a pre-order price guide, TCG Player is the place to go. So click that link and help the channel out. But I'm pretty sure I'm tapped out for now. That's all I got for this one. Now I guess I'll catch you cats later. I'm Dev from the place. Thanks for watching, my wizards. And remember, this is really important, especially after some of the events of today. Just remember, spread love and be kind. Stay safe, my wizards.